It is Saturday, September 13th, and you're doing lines with the Let's Not Do This podcast. You got the big O, Leon Oliver, sitting alongside. I'm already messing up, Scotty. We're 5 minutes into the show. I'm already tongue-tied. Sitting alongside
Too
Scotty
early.
Too Hottie. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. I had my worst bet of the year so far in Colorado yesterday. They suck.
Ryan Staub did not look good at all for the Buffaloes.
Or the defense. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dion maybe making another change there. Maybe a lot of changes in Boulder with that team as this year progresses. But yeah, a little Friday night football action to lose some money on. As you can tell, Chris is not here. I believe he's got more court ordered community service. You know, you got to pick up that trash on the side of the road
That's all right.
somewhere.
I'm making his picks for him. So
Oh, nice,
I'll
nice.
be Chris.
Can you put in three Zens and go to sleep on the job? Can you do that too?
No,
Okay.
I might die if I do that.
All right. So yeah, Scotty has his picks. He'll be making his picks in absentia. I'm sure he'll just say fuck the Cowboys and put that in for Chris. So we'll go from there. But yes, we're back. Thank you for joining us this early hour. Usually we do this at 9 a.m. Scotty, I appreciate you accommodating my social schedule, my ever-growing social schedule, so we can do this one an hour earlier. Of course, we're streaming live right now, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Make sure to click that subscribe button. It's right down there on the bottom right-hand corner. Click that subscribe and go ahead and follow along, lock in. Of course, you can join us back here on Wednesday nights as well at 7:30 for the Let's Not Do This podcast. And then on Thursday nights at 7, I have the Getting Loose podcast breaking down NASCAR. So we got you covered from football, NFL, NASCAR, weird news, all that stuff here on the Let's Not Do This podcast network. But let's get into it. Let's do some lines on this Saturday morning and see how we can make you some money. And for that, we give our picks. Brought to you by maybe you. Send an email to info@letsnotdothispodcast.com if you'd like to sponsor this segment. But let's get into it. All right, our picks of the week once again brought to you by absolutely no one. Since Chris is not here, and Scotty, you're Chris. Do you want to put on your ridiculous goddamn sunglasses? And
Hey, these are Ray-Bans, man.
Well, because you're Chris, they're ridiculous sunglasses at 8:08 a.m. In the East here. I don't know what's more ridiculous, him wearing sunglasses during the show, or I'm drinking a Manhattan out of a Yeti at 8:08 a.m. So, who has a problem? Chris with his stupidity, or me with my probably alcoholism? Who knows? But let's get into it. Let's start things off. Looks like first up
Emphasis on the man.
Yes. First up on the card here, and I actually share this game with Chris as well, so I'll give my pick for this. We got Georgia at Tennessee, number 6 Bulldogs rolling into Knoxville, taking on the 15th ranked Vols. Over under on this, I believe ESPN bet has it at 50.5. 3:30 kick there on ABC. Scotty, since you're Chris, I'll let you go first, sir.
All right, I am double checking the lines here. So these lines are kind of spread out. I think ESPN, which is what I did the graphic on, is the only place that has it at 3.5. And actually, FanDuel has it at 4.5. So kind of all over the place. But I'm Chris. It's kind of hard to read with these things on. He picked Georgia minus 3.5. So, which is surprising. Well, 2 SEC teams. So I guess Tennessee sucks. Georgia's better. Georgia good. Tennessee not good. Georgia minus 3.5.
That sounds very much so like Chris. So look, in this rivalry here, of course, you know, there's some beef with these states anyway. They don't like each other. Scotty, did you know that this rivalry between these two states, you can kind of go back to 1818. There was a surveying error that put the 35th parallel was supposed to be the border between Georgia and Tennessee. Well, there was a surveying error that put the border like a mile south of where it's supposed to be. There was a strip of land there, which included river access that was in Tennessee's control that Georgia feels it belongs to. over the years, Georgia's legislature, they've passed all kinds of resolutions and commissions and all kinds of stuff trying to seek legal action against Tennessee. There's all these like water war rhetoric and stuff. Yeah, they've been in battle in courts over water. They don't like each other. Of course, Georgia has that long win streak over Tennessee. It's been quite some time since the Vols have knocked off the Dogs. This line has moved a lot. I think when it first opened in a lot of places, it was like 7.5 or something like that. And then we see it now at like 3.5. Georgia favored by. So what does that tell you? It tells you the sharp money seems to be coming in on Tennessee right now. I don't know where to go. I keep going back and forth on this game, back and forth on this game. Obviously, we saw Syracuse move the ball against Tennessee a little bit, and then we saw Syracuse lose last week. I mean, not lose, the struggle last week to UConn. So transitive property doesn't always work, but what does that tell you? I like what Joey Aguilar is doing right now, leading the Vols, but they haven't faced a test like this Georgia defense just yet. Tennessee's put up some big numbers through 2 games, especially with that passing attack, as I mentioned, with Aguilar. But Georgia's defense has been stout. Georgia, of course, with Gunnar Stockton there, I still give the edge a little bit at QB, at least in my opinion, to Tennessee with Aguilar. I think if Tennessee doesn't turn the ball over, if they can convert third downs, which is total coach speak, but it's true, and keep those drives going, don't let Georgia force them into a lot of long situations, a lot of 3-and-out situations, because Georgia wants to slow that game down defensively and limit those big plays. Tennessee's going to have to hit a couple of home runs here. I think the Vols have a chance to pull off an upset here. I almost put this as my underdog pick of the week, but I shied away from it. But I'm going to take Tennessee, and I'm going to take the points here in this one. And Scotty, you had the lineup. You said you were seeing it where in a couple places?
FanDuel has it at 4.5.
Yeah, so give me the Vols.
4.5.
Give me the Vols plus the 4.5 here. But don't be surprised if they pull that upset and those goalposts wind up in the is it the Tennessee River that runs through there? Yeah, I think it's the Tennessee River that goes through Knoxville. So yeah,
sure.
But don't be surprised if those goalposts wind up there.
Yeah, so we need a Georgia win by 4 to make everybody happy. I'm on this game too. And sadly, I agree with you. Tennessee plus 4.5. I think a lot of people would expect Georgia to, I think they were just laying low the first 2 weeks, and now they're going to come out and beat Georgia again. I don't see it. Like you said, I also think Tennessee has the better quarterback. Gunnar Stockton hasn't really impressed at all. The offense is not explosive, not even against Marshall, and a lot of short passes. Even though they won 45-7, still don't think Gunnar Stockton's been that good. I don't know why they didn't bring in a quarterback to start over him, but I don't know. Maybe the new transfer portal and all that is hurting Georgia too. But yeah, you mentioned Joey Aguilar. Tennessee basically switches quarterbacks with UCLA, and I think they have the better one. Nico still looks pretty bad. I think he held them back last year. Tennessee at home. This game is gonna be a wild environment. Wish it was a night game, but we'll take 3:30. Yeah, I think these are kind of Tennessee might even be better. I don't know, but they're definitely evenly matched at worst. Give me Tennessee at home.
I like it. Scotty, one thing I think a lot of casual people might be doing on this is playing the name and not the number. You just look and you see Georgia and you see them going to Tennessee and you look at what Georgia's done over the last few years and not really like diving into the matchup between the two teams. I don't know. I feel that number's a little, I hate to say 3.5 is big, but I don't know. I feel like Tennessee's not being respected here. So yeah, I guess we can all be happy on this one. All right. Moving over next up on Chris's card here. You know what? I skipped down out of chronological order. I clicked that one first. That's my bad.
That's fine. We all had that game, so that's fine.
Yeah. He's got Wisconsin on the road there at Alabama. Looks like the Badgers getting 20.5 on the road at Tuscaloosa. 44.5 is the over-under. That's a noon kick there on ABC. What says Chris here with Wisconsin and Alabama?
I'm trying to figure out how he wears these sunglasses and is able to see anything.
When you got that many drinks in you, usually.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm Chris. SEC overrated. SEC sucks. Low total, big spread. Wisconsin plus 21 on MGM.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
attaboy, Chris. You don't have this game, do you?
No.
No, I
But
don't have this game either.
that does
But
seem like a lot of points for that low of a total.
it does. But this, I don't know. I didn't watch Wisconsin last week, but this isn't a very good Wisconsin team. Uh, Maybe a coaching change before the year's over if things don't quite turn around in Madison. Look, you take these guys and you take them down south to Alabama, a team that's still licking its wounds, I believe. I mean, we saw them exercise some demons against the Sisters of the Poor last week, but still licking its wound and its pride hurting from that Florida State loss. Now you get a Power Four team coming into Bryant-Denny. It's hot. It's humid down there. I think SEC talent, SEC speed is going to show. Wisconsin doesn't have Big Ten talent, Big Ten speed right now, in my opinion. I think it's going to be one of those like Alabama's going to walk the dog on them games.
Also, something about incest with Alabama.
That is a total Chris joke. Though I will say, I hope the concessions workers are ready at Bryant-Denny because Badger fans like to drink. I remember when they went down to LSU, right? Then they drink the stadium dry or drink some bars dry in Baton Rouge, which if you can drink with the Cajuns, that's saying something down there. So they're going to sell a lot of beer at Bryant-Denny for that one. All right. Next up on Chris's cards, two of his favorite states in America, Arkansas on the road to the great state of Mississippi there, taking on the Rebs of Ole Miss. Razorbacks getting 6.5 there on the road at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. 62.5 is that over under. And that's a 7 o'clock kick tonight on ESPN. What say you, Chris, in absentia?
Ole Miss really good. Arkansas not good. Maybe also an incest joke for Arkansas. Maybe Ole Miss minus 6.5, pretty much everywhere, I think.
Yeah, I'm seeing that pretty much across the board too. Ole Miss minus the 6.5. So Chris is on the Rebs, which I'm surprised Chris picked a team named the Rebels and gave up points.
Let's not do that.
From let's not do that. But yes, from what I know about him. But
especially this week.
Oh yeah. Ole Miss is an interesting team, man. I can't quite get a gauge on them. Austin Simmons has been kind of up and down so far early this year. It just seems like they play to the level of their competition under Lane Kiffin. And this is the game you look at it on paper, they should roll Arkansas. But for whatever reason, you saw them struggle with Kentucky. Hell, you saw them lose to Kentucky last year. They just seem to play to the level of who they're playing. And maybe that's they can't get up for these games or whatever. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas hangs around on this one. Sam Pittman usually will put the fear of God into somebody at least once a year or pull off an upset. So wouldn't be surprised if that's this game where the Hogs hang around for a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I've watched it down of Arkansas yet, but that number is a weird number. It's like they want you to take Ole Miss. So, yeah, Arkansas might be the play there.
Yeah, it really is enticing because just eye test alone, you look at that and you think, oh, God, Ole Miss is going to roll. But, yeah, Vegas, they don't have those big buildings for no reason. They know what they're doing with their money there. All right, so that does it for Chris's college football picks here. And then, Scotty, you want to do yours next?
Sure.
All right, you already had Georgia and Tennessee. We already went through that one. Then next up for you is the backyard brawl. Pitt on the road at West Virginia. Panthers giving up 7.5 points. Total on this one, 55.5, 3:30 kick on ESPN. 70 miles, I believe, separate these two campuses, and a whole lot of hate and a whole lot of moonshine, I'm sure, will be at this game. West Virginia, Scotty, coming off a surprise, well, not really for a lot of people. I bet on this game last week. Surprise loss at Ohio in Athens. Why they were going to Athens, I don't know. And the upset wasn't that really surprising. But can they get it together, Scotty, for the backyard brawl?
Yes, I think they are. I'm taking the points here, the 7.5 with West Virginia. Like you said, backyard brawl. These teams hate each other. It's going to be crazy in Morgantown. Since they brought this back 3 years ago, the home team has won every game. Pittsburgh's first road game of the year. It's going to be maybe the craziest environment they go to all year. I think that might be a tough spot. You mentioned West Virginia losing to Ohio, a MAC team. I think that actually is good for them. They're going to be pissed off. That should be a wake-up call, if nothing else. If there's any game they're going to get up for this year, it's going to be this one. I think Morgantown's going to be crazy. Don't know if they're going to win, but I think they're going to at least make it close and cover that 7.5.
I would agree with you on that one. I think when it comes to these rivalry games, especially rivalries at this level, and it's so cliche, but you got to toss out the stats, you got to toss out the records, all that stuff. I don't care that they lost last week. As you said, it might actually be a good thing because maybe they were looking forward to this game. And a sleepy trip
Yeah,
to a sleepy
sure.
town in southeastern Ohio, you come away with an L. Now you got to refocus and get ready for the people that you hate more than anything on the face of the earth coming into town. Rich Rod's going to have those guys right for this game. Rich Rod always had his West Virginia teams up for their rival games with Pitt and with Virginia Tech as well. He's going to get those guys turned back around. I don't know if the Mountaineers pull off the win, but yeah, I do like them to cover that with you as well.
Yeah, if you have a couch in West Virginia, you might want to like put it in storage or something.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one there. And you know what? At least for Pitt, this isn't a night game. 3:30 gives a little less time for them to get amped up and drinking. But like I'm drinking this Manhattan out of a Yeti at 8:21 a.m. I'm sure the lots are already open up there in Morgantown, and I'm sure there's some painter's piss, as some old boys in my town used to say, in some jars right now being passed around. All right, a completely different atmosphere from Morgantown, West Virginia. We're going to South Florida as the Bulls, number 18 team in the country, who are not actually from South Florida. They're from Tampa, but that's a geography lesson for another day. They head to Hard Rock Stadium there to take on the fifth-ranked Miami Hurricanes. They're getting 17.5 points, total at 56.5. That is a 4:30 kickoff on the CW. The game of the week this week, Scotty, maybe outside of Georgia, Tennessee, is on the CW. None of America, I'm sure, will know or figure out where that channel is. But here we go. You're up, sir. And I actually have this game too, so I'll tail in after you.
Yeah, you look at this line. South Florida is I guess maybe the surprise team of the year so far. Wins over Boise State and Florida, and you're like, man, that's too many points. But and the public is all over South Florida, and this got bet down to 15.5, and then right back up to 17.5. So that tells me Vegas and the sharps or are on Miami. And you look at Florida, I thought they were overrated anyways. So I mean, it's impressive for South Florida to get that win, but I'm not overly impressed with that win. They're a good team, but I think I was probably wrong about Miami. I called them overrated to begin with. And I think I might be wrong about that. I think Miami is going to show their will, and I think they're going to win in a blowout. So I'm going against the crazy line at first sight and taking Miami minus the 17.5.
Okay. Kane's coming off of a glorified practice last week, blowing out Bethune-Cookman here. They're actually starting an interesting stretch. You know me, I like little quirks and stuff like this. They're starting a interesting stretch of I wouldn't say Florida rivalries, but in-state teams. They played Bethune-Cookman from Daytona Beach last week. You got South Florida from Tampa this week. Then you're at you host one of your rivals in Florida on next week on the 20th, and then they are at Florida State on October 10th after a bye week. So a little bit of a quirk there with Miami playing 5 straight Florida schools there during that time period. So, or no, 4 straight. I can't count. But yeah, anyway, a little interesting scheduling quirk.
It's crazy somebody would want to stay in Miami for that long. I mean, not Miami, but Florida.
Hey, I like the great state of Florida. No sales tax, okay? That is good. All right, so obviously, you've seen the money coming in there, as you mentioned. South Florida, the most impressive team in the country, in my opinion, just from a sheer who are these guys? Where do they come from? I think America is learning about Alex Golish and what he's done there. I think they went like 7-6 last year or something like that. They go into the portal, they beefed up. They got a lot of P4 transfers coming in there, especially on the offensive line. They're a more physical team than what they were previously, and they play really tough defense as well. This is going to be the toughest test for them yet, though. Of course, Boise State. The fighting. We wish we had Ashton JTs in week 1. What happens when you have an offense built around one guy and that one guy's not there? We saw what happened with Permian and Boobie Miles. That happened in week 1 with Boise State. Florida, we all have our questions about Florida. We saw what happened there last week. This is going to be the stiffest test. Carson Beck has been sharp so far for Miami. He's completed a lot of his passes at a pretty high percentage there and spreading the ball around amongst their weapons. Miami's O-line has looked good. And they got playmakers on the outside to give them a chance, to break it against pretty much anyone. If Carson Beck is efficient, doesn't turn it over, controls the game, this should go in Miami's way. But for whatever reason, USF, their defense has shown the capability defensively to make plays, to keep them in games. If they can sustain that play at this level on the road against a strong offense like Miami's, things could get interesting. So what I'm looking at here is the over-under. I'm going to stay away from the spread on this. I'm going to go under on this game and give me the under on the total. Are you seeing totals around here any different than what we're seeing on ESPN Bet right there?
Let's see. No, it's 56.5 everywhere. Except for FanDuel, it's actually 55.5. So, yeah.
Okay, I ain't going that route. So, yeah, give me the 56.5 under in this game. I just feel like it's going to be a really tight, contested game. Miami's got Florida next week, and I know, you can't really overlook South Florida, but Florida is still a big rivalry for them. They don't play it as much as Florida State, but a little spot where you could potentially look ahead to another P4 team, where you have a chance to, show what you can do against the SEC squad. I don't know. I just feel like South Florida's going to keep things interesting in this one, and I think the defenses are going to show up a little bit. I don't know I think South Florida probably covers, but I don't necessarily feel 100% taking that. So I'm going to go with the points being down. I think the defenses will show up. Give me under 56.5.
All right.
All right. That's the last one on your card.
Yeah.
Yep, because we did Georgia, Tennessee, you did the backyard brawl, and now this one. All right, moving over to my college card. We already did Georgia, Tennessee. We did Miami and South Florida just now. Next up for me, we got Clemson on the road at Georgia Tech, heading to the flats, taking on Georgia Tech there in Midtown Atlanta. Tigers giving up 2.5 points. Over under is 51.5, and that is a noon kick there on ESPN. Georgia Tech. It's tough. Georgia Tech is feisty. I love Haynes King. I think that kid is just tough as, whatever you want to say, whatever old timer things they say, tough as a $2 steak. But I'm not necessarily sold on Georgia Tech to throw the ball. They want to run. And it's not a one-dimensional offense, but it's damn near close to one-dimensional. They want to run. They want to ground and pound you. They want to be physical. I remember the interview Brent Pry gave last year after they beat Florida State. He's like, run the ball. I mean, Brent Key, after they beat Florida State, he's like, run the ball. That's what they want to do. Clemson, Kate Klubnik has not been good this year. I don't know if I've seen a guy go from, Heisman candidate to maybe outhouse so fast as he has. They obviously struggled with Troy last week. They had that loss in week 1 to LSU. Maybe that's to be expected, struggling with Troy after an emotional loss to LSU in a big game like that. You have another spot with Georgia Tech, who's somewhat of a rival coming up. Maybe you overlook the Trojans a little bit. Maybe they were holding something back a little bit. I always mention how Joe Giglio always says from the Ovies and Giglio podcast that Clemson has one of those games where they say, fuck you, we're still Clemson. I think this is going to be that fuck you, we're still Clemson. They lost to LSU. They struggled with Troy. A lot of people are down on Clemson. Money's coming in on the Jackets. Give me Clemson to go into Atlanta, cover this 2.5, and I think they probably win by double digits. I like Georgia Tech. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to give people fits this year, but this ain't going to be one of those weeks. Dabo, unless there's something wrong in that program that we don't know about, that this is the fall of the Roman Empire, so to speak, with Clemson, and they're coming downhill, I think they're going to get themselves right for this game and go in there, because when Clemson plays teams of what we feel is a similar caliber non-conference, that's where we see the talent discrepancy. That's where we've seen it the last couple of years where they haven't been there. But in terms of the ACC, they're still the bully on the block. And I think they're going to go into Atlanta, and Georgia Tech wants to fist fight you. I think they're going to punch Georgia Tech in the mouth. Give me Clemson minus the points.
Yeah, I might end up betting this one too, but I agree with you. Just feels like a spot that Clemson shows up. Although I did call Club Nick being overrated on week 0.
You did. I give you credit for
Yeah.
that, sir.
I watched him last year. I just didn't see the hype. But I mean, he's got time, I guess, to prove me wrong. But yeah, I don't think they're going to need him to play all that well this week. Georgia Tech, you mentioned Haynes King. They're a decent team, but they're sloppy. Can't be against Clemson. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned
Not
the
good
sloppiness.
Clemson, but yeah, they're going to win.
You mentioned the sloppiness. Remember, like week 1 or week 0, whatever it was against Colorado. What was it, like 3 turnovers early? They lost like 2 fumbles, and he had a pick. I mean, like you do that. We saw Colorado and how they looked yesterday. They just couldn't figure the shit out at all. You do that against a team with Clemson's talent, they're going to make you pay. And Dabo's got no problem twisting a knife in you. We've seen Clemson run it up on some people before when they've given the opportunity. And if Georgia Tech gets sloppy and gives them the opportunity to twist the knife and remind America that they're still Clemson, Dabo's he's gonna take it in this one. And by the way, Georgia Tech, obviously people are getting on them, getting behind them. Fans are coming back to Bobby Dodd. They're going to be a lot of Tigers. There's going to be a lot of Tigers down there, a lot of orange.
Sure.
It ain't a far trip, and there's a lot of Clemson alums in the Metro Atlanta area. It ain't going to be a typical home game for them, and they're used to taking over that place anyway. Give me Clemson minus the points here. All right, that wraps things up on the college football side of things. Let's move over to the National Football League. Scotty, since you are Chris, do you want to do his picks first?
Sure. I don't have any crossover games with him, so.
Okay, I think I have one maybe. First up, yes, I believe I do actually have one, and so I'll put this up from my card too. Yeah. First up, we have the Browns at the Ravens, the Battle of Art Modell. Cleveland getting 11.5 as they head to the Charm City, taking on the Ravens. Total at 44.5. 1 o'clock kick tomorrow on CBS. America's most watched network per Jim Nantz. What would Chris say on this one?
John Harbaugh, overrated. The Browns, underrated. Shedeur Sanders, even though he's not going to be active, is the best quarterback in the league. Browns plus 11.5.
Okay, Browns plus 11.5. That's really what he has on his card is Cleveland plus 11.5.
He likes Cleveland. He picked them to finish second in the division. He said I think he said they're going to win 10 games. Wow. Remember, I gave him shit for it. Let me make sure that's still the right line. Yeah, plus 11.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think the Ravens are going to take out some frustration and just destroy the Browns. But you never know in these division games. I think the Browns might have a lot of games where they cover and don't win. This could be one. But I don't know. I'll probably find a prop or something to bet on this game.
Listen, 2 words. Derrick Henry. Baltimore showed – listen, they went toe-to-toe, and maybe there's a hangover. Maybe you could catch them in Cleveland cover on this one. There's a hangover from that loss to the Bills on Sunday Night Football. I mean, certainly they had them. They had them on the mat. The Bills got back up. What was like a 99% chance of winning with like 4 minutes left in the game or something like that?
Yeah. It was like a 99.6% chance or 99 point something % chance of winning.
So yeah, like a WWE match, you had the guy down. All you had to do was hit your finisher and get out of there, and it didn't happen. That's going to leave a salty taste in their mouth. I think Baltimore, when over the last few years, when they face adversity, we've seen them answer the bell, and I think they're going to give Cleveland a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. I think they're going to run the ball with Lamar a lot. I think they're going to get back to what they do, and that's run the ball, maybe hit a couple pop passes for deep for Zay Flowers. I think Baltimore is going to let out some frustration here on Cleveland. I think that 11.5, it's easily covered. I think they win by 14, maybe 17. I like Baltimore easily in this game. I have no faith in Cleveland. I'm in complete opposite of Chris on this one. John Harbaugh is going to game plan to try to limit as much as you can. Myles Garrett, certainly he is disruptive force defensively, but they face them twice a year for however many years. They know what to do here. They got Derrick Henry, and they're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry running over people. Give me Baltimore minus the points.
All right.
All right.
Wait, is
Next,
that on your card or no?
yeah, it is on my card.
Okay.
Yep. Next up on Chris's card here, he has got the Browns the Bears and the Lions. Chicago getting 6.5, heading to the Motor City, taking on the Motor City Kitties. Over under is 46.5. 1 o'clock tomorrow on Fox. Is Caleb Williams going to paint his fingernails? Do we know what color they are this week?
I don't know. I don't care.
He went with blue last week. Maybe after the loss, maybe he goes with orange. Who knows? But yeah, what does Chris have here?
Caleb Williams sucks. Bears are on the road. Lions bounce back. Chris has Lions minus 6.5.
Lions minus 6.5. Okay, I stayed away from this game. I don't know. Just didn't really have a lot of thoughts on this one. You got anything on this game?
I'll probably do another prop on this one. I don't know. Weird line. I'm gonna have to see the Lions get back to being the Lions without their coordinators before I bet on them. So yeah, maybe the total's weird too. Maybe the under. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
on this game.
I feel like it's a trap here. I feel like Vegas is baiting us into taking the Lions minus the 6.5 just on eye test alone because you look at it, Lions Bears. Oh yeah, Detroit will cover by a touchdown easy, and I don't know. As you mentioned, both coordinators are gone. We saw what Green Bay did to them. Look. We all know Green Bay's got a good defense. We saw what they did to the Commanders on Thursday night. I think all of America is pretty much shocked at just how much Detroit's offense sputtered. So that leaves me some concern there. And then also defensively, without Aaron Glenn there, who's now in New York with the Jets, I just saw some holes there. So I don't know. As you said, I need to see a little bit more from Detroit before I start putting some money on them one way or another. That's why I just stayed away from this one.
All
right. So Chris has got what's he got again? Bears plus? I mean the Lions.
No, Lions.
He's got Lions minus 6.5. Okay. All right. So next up on his card here, he's got the Battle of Peyton Manning and the Broncos heading to Naptown, Indianapolis. Denver giving up 1.5. Total at 43.5. 4:05 p.m. on CBS, America's most watched network. What does Chris say?
Chris says, Bo Nix sucks. Sean Payton, overrated. Daniel Jones is better than Bo Nix. Daniel Jones, Pro Bowl quarterback. He wouldn't say that. But he's going, I'm going Colts. It's actually on FanDuel. I just double-checked. Plus 2.5 for the Colts.
Okay. So
and I think he might be doing that just to piss you off because he knows you like Denver.
I do. I like this Denver team a lot. So Chris is taking so he can get it on FanDuel. My lungs
getting black whenever I put those sunglasses on.
Yeah, most people have black lung. It comes from hard work. Like in the coal mines, powering America, making sure that we have electricity so we can do these shows. Chris's lungs just come from like putting. If you could smoke it, he puts it into his body. I'm sure if you could just like give him some tree sap and some bark and put it into a cigarette, he'll smoke that too. Yeah, his lungs look like the inside of a diesel engine. But yeah, so he's taking Indy plus the points. Yeah.
2.5 on FanDuel.
2.5 on FanDuel. Okay. I thought about putting this game on my card. I stayed away from it though because I feel like I would be emotionally taking Denver minus the points here because I do believe in them. I think Kansas City's reign of terror in the AFC West is coming to an end. I think Denver wins this division this year. I like this Broncos team a lot. I like Sean Payton. I like Bo Nix. I know he had a rough week, last week, but hey, that defense is the best in the league, and they bailed them out. Who would have thought, by the way, after 1 week, that this would be one of the premier games? Because we're wondering, is Denver for real? We're wondering, was it an aberration? Was it a fluke with the Colts? Obviously, Miami's a train wreck, so we'll figure out what Indy is this week. I stayed away from this one. I kind of like the under a little bit on this, but I stayed far away from that one.
Yeah, I kind of like the Broncos here too. We've seen Daniel Jones have like a good performance out of nowhere and surprise people, and then he'll go and play somebody he's supposed to beat and just falls on his face. I could see that happening here. I can see the Broncos defense just being way too much for him and them winning in a blowout. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to bet on this one. I'll probably end up taking the Broncos. I just don't see it with Daniel Jones. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's a Pro Bowl quarterback because he beat the Dolphins, who are probably going to be the next team to fire their head coach. Like, relax. He's not that good.
Mike McDaniel might welcome getting fired at this point. Like literally, bro, you need a better help subscription, and you need like a tech job. He needs to like be working in a startup, just rolling around the office in like a scooter and like a oversized pair of khakis and like a Tupac shirt, and just kind of just chill out, making 90K a year and doing absolutely nothing and posting TikToks. That's the kind of job that Mike McDaniel needs right now. He just needs to step away from football. Anything that Indy did last week against Miami, I'm taking with a grain of salt right now.
Yeah, I think he'll be a good coordinator, but
Yeah.
not a head coach.
All right, so that's Chris there. He's got Indy plus the points on this one. Let's go up next on your card here, Scotty. You got Bills and the Jets here on your first pick here, and I'm pulling this up because I have this on my card as well. I'll let you go first. Buffalo giving up 6.5 in New Jersey at the Meadowlands, taking on the Jets. Total at 47.5. 1 o'clock on CBS, America's most watched network. You're up, sir.
Yeah, the Bills are looking like the best team in the league right now. The Jets scored 32 points last week and still lost. So the Bills should put up as many points as they want. The Jets are the Jets, but give me the Jets. That 6.5 number, they want you to take the Bills. The Bills have not beat the Jets in New York by more than 3 since 2021, I think. So their last 3 trips have all been close games. Yeah, I just think that Ed Oliver, I don't think he's going to be playing. I think that's going to be a big loss on defense for Buffalo.
He is out.
So their running attack with Justin Fields and Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, I think is going to be productive. I think Garrett Wilson will have a decent game. Kind of like the under, but yeah, I think this is going to be another close game in New York. I think the Bills win, but I think the Jets keep it close and cover the 6.5.
Okay, going with the Jets covering. Yeah, you mentioned Ed Oliver out, not injured in the game. He was actually stepped on in practice. I believe it was Wednesday. Initially didn't think it was that bad, but it looks like he's going to be out this week and maybe concerned for next week as well. Yeah, so I mean he's a disruptive force there in the middle of that defensive line for Buffalo. So his presence or lack thereof certainly will be felt. But then on the New York side of things, Sauce Gardner, I believe, was limited in practice this week as well. I mean, he's going to play, but how efficient will he be? I admit it's crazy to say throw over at Sauce Gardner, but I think the Buffalo will try to test him a little bit to see how healthy he is. See, can they exploit some matchups there? Maybe move a tight end over toward that way. We've seen Buffalo and how they roll through their tight ends with Kincaid and Knox. I feel like this is a game where they might go a little tight end heavy and get those guys into the mix. Also, Cook on the ground, running the football. I like Buffalo here in this game. I think their defense is going to make a couple plays and turn over Justin Fields. I like Buffalo to cover in this game. I think they got more offensive weapons. They got better experience in the tight games. And although with Ed Oliver out, that's going to hurt. They got a couple other vulnerabilities on defense. The Jets haven't consistently. I know it's only through week 1, but the Jets haven't consistently shown over the last couple of years, their ability to exploit these things at like a larger scale. So yeah, give me Buffalo minus the points to go into Jersey and get that W there.
All right, I like being on the other side of you, especially in NFL.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit here. All right, and then we're on my card. I did. Oh wait, we're on your card, right?
I mean, we both had this game, so it could be either
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted because I switched over. Yeah, so we're on your card. We'll go to next up on yours is rematch of the Super Bowl. You got the battle of Taylor Swift. She was an Eagles fan. Now apparently she's a Chiefs fan. Eagles minus a point and a half in Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs. Total at 47 and a half, 4:25 p.m. on Fox. What say you?
Let me double check because I am going with the total here. It's been kind of moving around this morning a little bit. Why can't I find this game? Here we go. Yeah, still 47 and a half over on ESPN. It's 47 and 46 and a half at other places. But yeah, Super Bowl rematch. The narrative going into the Super Bowl to now has totally flipped. I'm kind of surprised that this is close to a pick 'em. I thought the Eagles would be favored a little bit more. I guess maybe being at Kansas City and just anytime you have Pat Mahomes, especially as an underdog, he does well. But yeah, I'm going with the under 47 and a half. The Eagles aren't going to be putting up 40, however many points they put up in the Super Bowl. I think both defenses play well. Jalen Carter, I think, actually makes it to the first snap this week without getting ejected. And yeah, the Chiefs defense got exploited through the air against the Chargers last week, which was kind of surprising that they had that game plan. But Hurts isn't that guy. Good quarterback. He's perfect for their offense, but he's not going to a guy that's going to go out and air it out and beat you that way. They're going to want to run the ball. Chiefs have a good D line. Both these teams have really good O lines and D lines. And then the Chiefs, again, they're down their top two receivers already. Thank you, Travis Kelce, for continuing to ruin my fantasy teams, whether I have you or not. But yeah, I think both defenses come out and perform. The Chiefs are obviously going to have revenge on their mind. Again, they're not going to be able to take a lot of deep shots with their receiving core. So more dink and dunk and running the ball. Yeah, and then the Eagles, if they get a lead, they're going to sit on the ball and not care, run that clock down. We've seen a lot of their games where they go up big and then, well, week one, I think Chris had the over and he only needed, I think, 4 points in the second half and didn't get it. So the delay in the game had a lot to do with that. But still, yeah, I just don't see. I see both defenses come into to play here, and both quarterbacks maybe still trying to get into their rhythm or whatever. But yeah, give me the under 47 and a half.
I don't have this game on my card, but I will be betting that under as well. I mean, you pretty much summed up everything that I'm right in concert with you, as much as I hate agreeing with you on this game.
Agreeing with me.
Yeah, I don't like to agree with any of you.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm betting under on this game. I'm actually working up a little parlay in my shop right now where I have the under on this. So yeah, I would agree with you. All right, next up on your card, you got the Bucks getting 2.5 on the road in H-Town, taking on the Texans. Total at 42.5. That is Monday night on ESPN and ABC, part of that Monday Night Football doubleheader. Of course, you get the Raiders and the Chargers in the nightcap there. What say you?
Yeah, these 2.5 spreads can be kind of trappy. And then you look at the Texans, everybody called last year just a sophomore slump for Stroud in that offense. Everybody expected them to come out and bounce back this year. And then last week they only put up 9 points against the Rams. But I'm actually taking that 2.5 points with the Texans to cover that. Their first home game, the Bucks' first road game, Monday night. Texans are going to be desperate. And the Bucks, they won last week, but neither them or Atlanta really looked overly impressive. I think Stingley for the Texans is going to limit Mike Evans pretty well. Hopefully that means some targets for Ibuka again for my fantasy team. But yeah, the Texans have to have this one Monday night, first home game of the year. I think they're going to come out and ready to play because they basically have to win this game. You start 0-2 after last year, then yeah, could get ugly. But yeah, give me the Texans minus the 2.5.
I got absolutely nothing on this game. I didn't look at any research on this game. I didn't look at the lines really on this game because I saw that initial like 2.5 sit there. I'm like, this just seems, I don't know. I stayed far, far away from it. I kept everything away. I might play some props on this game, as you mentioned. Mike Evans potentially being taken out. Maybe Kate Otten. Tampa loves him in the red zone. I might look at a touchdown prop for him. Maybe some receptions for Ibuka, but I stayed far away from the line and the total and everything on this one. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next up on my card here, I had Bills and Jets with you. I had Browns and Ravens with Chris. I got one game left, and I got the grossest game of the week.
Yuck.
What, you're not excited for Mac Jones and Spencer Rattler, Scotty?
No, not at all.
I have a friend who is a really big Saints fan, and yeah, he is not looking forward to this matchup at all. So 49ers in New Orleans taking on the Saints. Niners giving up 3.5. The total is at 40.5. That's 1 o'clock tomorrow on Fox. San Francisco is like a walking mash unit right now. Of course, Brock Purdy is out. Mac Jones getting his first start for San Francisco. And then George Kittle on the IR as well. He is out. That certainly is a big loss. I think Juwan Jennings is questionable. Trent Williams is questionable, I believe. Saints have a couple of dings on the defensive side of the ball, but nothing like major as of note so far. Obviously, this line has moved given that news. It was originally San Francisco minus the 7.5. It's down now to 3.5 in some places. In Christian McCaffrey, he's got the calf injury. He did play last week. He says it's no big deal, but who knows? I don't know. Not a ton of research into this game. Well, I wouldn't say research. Not a ton of analysis into this game. I look at this game, and immediately you look at it and you think this is gross. This is terrible. They're not going to score points. I tend to go the opposite way on these type of things. You got Spencer Rattler against Mac Jones. You got some backups coming in. You got a chance for some guys to make a name for themselves in a spot where no one's expecting. I think everyone's going to be in on this under on this game because they just look at the quarterback matchup and say this is gross. Give me the over on this game. It's kind of like when you have two high-powered offenses in college football face off. I usually trend toward the under. The law of averages usually says to go the other way. I'm going the other way on this one, just out of sheer spite, curiosity, just being a contrarian. I don't know, but give me the over in this game, over 40.5. Maybe Mac Jones goes off. Maybe a change of scenery. It's good for him. Kind of like how Sam Darnold had his rebirth after being a backup in San Francisco and then going to Minnesota before signing that deal in Seattle. Maybe this is Mac Jones's chance to have a rebirth and get that next deal as a quarterback. I don't know. Maybe Spencer Rattler goes down. Maybe Tyler Shuck comes in and throws it all over the yard there. There still is some good weapons there. I mean, Chris Olave is still there for New Orleans. Alvin Kamara is still there for New Orleans. There's some offensive weapons. Maybe there's a couple of defensive scores in this game. Give me the over in this game. It's gross, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. Maybe look at Rattler's rushing yards or something. Because that total, I kind of agree with you. But if you bet the over, you're relying on these quarterbacks giving the other team short fields with pick sixes or turnovers. And I don't know. That's just an ugly game. Yeah, I'll be doing a prop on this. Maybe even the Saints plus 3.5 or something. I don't know. It's pretty gross.
Would you be interested in the alternate line on this? Because I was looking at potentially moving this a little bit. If I could get like a point or two more for New Orleans, depending on what the odds were, I would maybe take that. Uh, is that something that when you're putting your card together for tomorrow would interest you?
No, not at
Uh,
all.
uh,
No.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm going over on this game. So yeah, give me over 40 and a half on this.
All
So
right. Have fun dealing with that.
yeah, that this game is so gross, and this is why I love Red Zone. By the way, even with I just want to say they had their 1 minute of commercials last week. Wasn't
I didn't notice it.
super yeah, wasn't super noticeable. I'll take it. This is why Red Zone is great because I'm too cheap to pay for Sunday ticket, and also I don't have a team anymore since the Redskins no longer exist in name. Um, I like watching the whole league and seeing all the highlight plays, and I like watching what my money is on. So this is a perfect Red Zone game. Saints 49ers because I think there's going to be some turnovers, some bizarre shit. This is a good Red Zone game.
But also with that 1 minute commercial, I am a little worried that like this week is going to be 2 minutes, and then next week it's going to be 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden, the end of the year, it's like 12 minutes of commercials,
Nah, they're gonna
missing touchdowns.
they're gonna they're gonna ease you into it.
Yeah,
It's like the first one's free kind of thing. They want to get you hooked on it. They got you hooked on the product. They dropped in a ad last year and it's like, oh, no big deal. Now they give you a minute. Now you get used to that minute. Next year it might be 2 minutes. They're gonna slowly edge you on this one. I just said edge you.
yeah.
Jeez Louise. But yeah, they're gonna edge you on this one. All right, so we are going to talk a little bit about boxing here in a moment. Canelo and Terence Crawford later on tonight on Netflix. But before we do that, Scotty, we have our underdog parlay. So let's go ahead and take a peek at that. Uh, I believe who had okay. I'm out of the I'm out of the box here first. Utah State taking on Air Force. This game in Logan, Utah. Aggies are dog at home. Give me Utah State plus 155. They're at home. Bronco Mendenhall in his first year coaching Utah State, taking on Air Force in that option offense. Who's coached against the option before? Bronco Mendenhall when he was at BYU. He saw these Air Force guys every single year. I like Bronco Mendenhall. I think he's a very good head coach. I know they've had a ton of guys in the portal. That's what Bronco does. When Bronco comes into a place, if you're not, he's different. He's a different cat. And if you're not locked into that, you're going to leave. And they saw a ton of defections from Logan, Utah this year. But I think they pull this one off against the Air Force Academy. I love Air Force. Go Air Force, go Army, go Navy, but especially go Air Force. If I was going to join the military, that would be the branch I would go to. But give me Utah State at home. I think Broncos stifles up this option, and the Aggies have something to celebrate there in the Beehive State.
All right. Haven't watched any Utah State, so
Next
we'll
up,
see.
who had Texas A&M?
Me.
Okay,
Go Aggies.
gig 'em.
I don't hate Marcus Freeman, but I do think A&M Mike Elko has a better coach, maybe the better quarterback. They got revenge on their mind from last year. Notre Dame beat them at Texas A&M. Now they're going to. This game is it's in Notre Dame, right? Pretty sure
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, it's in South Bend. And by the way, I got the
Okay, yeah.
FanDuel Sportsbook logo on there. My fault. Hand up to God. My fault. These lines are actually from ESPN Bet. I'm sorry, I didn't update the graphic from last week. That's on me.
Yeah,
Graphics
fine.
intern is me. But yeah,
But yeah. Also, there's estimated 20% A&M fans are going to be at the game, so they should make a little bit of noise there. And the ticket prices I saw on StubHub have like come down like significantly. So maybe the Notre Dame fans are already lost some confidence in this team after losing one game. So I don't know. Maybe that home field isn't what it usually is. But yeah, CJ Carr wasn't impressed in his first game. Was his first game, but yeah, I don't know. I just think A&M's going to come in, revenge factor. Yeah, I had a hard time really finding a lot of upsets this week. So I would probably rather take the 6.5. I almost put that on my card instead. But yeah, I think they're going to be right there. They're going to have a shot at the end. Maybe CJ Carr throws an interception at the end, and Texas A&M wins. But yeah, why not?
Okay.
Go Aggies. And their Aggies aren't at home, so they don't have their weird whatever them people are that do those weird dances and chants. They don't got to worry about that bringing them down.
Yell leaders grabbing their
Oh, yeah.
nuts and squeezing themselves to feel pain to simulate the pain that the Aggies are feeling on the field. Texas A&M is a cult in every sense of the word, but by God, I love it. If I grew up
Yeah.
Scotty, I'll tell you this, hand to God, if I grew up in the great state of Texas, I would be a by guy, Texas Aggie. They're weird, and I love everything that's weird about them. I ain't no T-sip from Austin. If I grew up there, I would be an Aggie. I heard someone say once that Texas A&M is NC State with money, and that was the most apt description of two schools I've ever heard in my entire life. So yeah, and we need to feed our little buddy action here. He's starving last week because of your Duke pick. So hopefully you can redeem yourself with the Aggies this week. And then Chris. He is going with the Dirty Birds. He's got the Falcons money line here. Any thoughts on what he may be thinking here as they take on the Vikings? I know he's a Vikings hater.
I think he picked the Falcons to win the division. So I think he just likes the Falcons for some reason. And I think he's probably fading McCarthy because we still don't know if he's good or not. He had the good second half last week, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like the Vikings are going to win that one, even if it's not pretty. We don't really know how good Penix is either. Jury's still out on him. I mean, Falcons could win that one, but I mean, it's indoors like they like. So, I mean, we'll see.
Okay. So once again, these lines coming from ESPN Bet, not FanDuel. I forgot to update the graphic. Hand up, that's on me. But if you put these into ESPN Bet, thank you. I deserve that. If you put these into ESPN Bet right now, you get 1743 for those odds. Scotty, usually I ask you to do the math, but I believe I got the math on this one. If you put $10 on this, does that pay $174.31?
I don't know where you got the one from, but unless you got it plugged in right now and there's like a decimal at the end of the odds. But yeah, you'll win $174.30.
Okay, yeah, I did put it into the odds calculator there on Action Network, and they gave me $174.31. So maybe
So it's probably was plus 1743.1. It's probably
yeah,
the
probably the
odd one.
precise measurements there, or whatever.
Plus your $10.
Yeah, there's an accounting error in there somewhere. It's kind of like Office Space, where you just round that decimal up and drop it into another bank account. That's what you can do with this one. So, all right.
Well, no, a lot of odds like Bet Rivers. If it says 110, it's actually like 109 point something. So they give you like a couple pennies usually for if you place a bet that's minus odds.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know there. All right. So that's our underdog parlay of the week. And then before we get out of here, obviously this show, during football season, we talk football, we talk college basketball during basketball season. But hey, if there's a big fight, UFC, we'll mention that. If there's a big boxing match, we'll mention that. Tonight on Netflix, we got Canelo Alvarez taking on Terence Crawford there. I believe right now Crawford is plus 130 on the ESPN Bet. You got any thoughts on this one?
I gotta be honest, I haven't watched a lot of boxing recently. I have seen some Canelo fights. I've seen a couple Crawford fights. A little surprised the odds are that close, just because Canelo is the much bigger fighter. Does it say what weight class they're fighting in?
I believe it's super welterweight. I believe it was.
Because Canelo's usually fights like 15, 20 pounds heavier than Crawford, so he's going to have the power and the size advantage. I'm sure Crawford will be a little faster. But
yeah, super middleweight. Excuse me, super middleweight.
Does it say what the pounds are? There's so many weight classes in boxing.
Yeah, let me go and get that. The weight class, super middleweight, is a limit of 168.
All right, so yeah, he's moving way up in weight.
I think he's going up 2 weight classes, I believe.
It might be more than that because I think it's like every 7 pounds or something in boxing. But I like Canelo with those odds. Maybe take Canelo in a over so many rounds in a parlay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Chris probably watches more boxing than both of us, so too bad he's not here. But yeah, kind of surprising those odds are that close. I don't know. I know some big money I saw came in. I saw a big bet on Crawford. Maybe that had something to do with it. But definitely not an expert, but I'll take Canelo.
Okay, you got Canelo there. Yeah. And of course, the traditional Mexican Independence Day weekend vicinity fight for Canelo Alvarez. Of course, Mexican Independence Day, September 16th, celebrating their independence there from Spain on September 16th, I believe, of 1810. He always fights around that weekend. Of course, it's going on at Allegiant
Yeah.
Stadium in
So
Vegas there.
UFC has a El Noche, I think they call it.
Might be racist. That might.
I don't know if I said that right, but yeah, UFC has the main event. It's going to be a very fun fight. Diego Lopez and John Silva, one of the fight nerds.
Nice,
So I will
nice.
be watching that. That should be a fun fight. Both guys are pretty exciting.
This will be a good evening for the YouTube TV or just having multiple TVs, multiple laptops. You got college football, you got boxing with this on Netflix, you got the UFC, and of course, you got NASCAR as well on USA Network in the last great Coliseum there at Bristol. But getting back to this fight here, I'm going to take Terence Crawford. I believe in most places right now you can get him, like I said, on ESPN Bet at plus 130. I might look at Terence Crawford, and I know this might shock some people. I might look at Terence Crawford plus 850 for a win by KO, TKO, or DQ. I think he's got knockout power, even coming up in weight class there. Canelo is a little bit younger, but he has fought so many fights. And Terence Crawford undefeated, obviously, in his career. Canelo is 63 2-2 with 39 knockouts. Terence Crawford 41-0 with 31 knockouts. There, he is 2 years older. Reach both about the same there. Excuse me, height about the same, but Crawford does have a bit of a longer reach. I think Canelo gets a little bit tired as we go later in the rounds in fights, and I think later in the rounds, maybe 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, they might present an opportunity for Terence Crawford to catch him and knock him out. I think Crawford wins, but from a betting standpoint, I would definitely bet Crawford. At plus money, plus 850 on ESPN Bet. I'll shop that a little bit to win by KO, TKO, or DQ. Obviously, Canelo is going to have the crowd with him. I imagine there's going to be a lot of Mexican fans and everything in Las Vegas this weekend. But yeah, give me Terence Crawford, and I like him by knockout on this fight.
Yeah, I don't see the knockout happening, but worth the odds, I guess. Worth the shot. I just think if he wins, again, from my novice opinion here, just because of the size advantage, I think if he wins, it's going to be because he's able to take the shots from Canelo and then just kind of uses his speed and outpoints him. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He is faster. The more likely thing I think is Crawford to win on a decision here, but I'm looking at making some money here, Scotty. So I'm going with the knockout.
You should make sensible bets if you want to make some money.
Hey, what's funny? Because I'm the most conservative guy in the world when it comes to that. My unit is much smaller than your unit. I believe.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh, God damn it! I just put that out there. Fuck. But my betting unit, my betting unit is smaller than your betting unit. But I do like to roll the dice a little bit. This is something I want to roll the dice on. I'm looking forward to it. So should be a good fight. I'll have that on second screen here. As that is free, by the way, on Netflix this evening. And of course, before we get out of here, make sure tune in 7:30 Wednesday night for Let's Not Do This podcast. On that, it's kind of like sitting at the bar with your friends. We talk a little football. We talk about Thursday night football, college football coming up that Thursday, Friday, any weird news stories and stuff. We bust each other's balls. Always fun. Then, of course, we have this show normally at 9 a.m. Normally, if you're tuning in right now at 9:10, we would just be starting, but a little bit earlier schedule today to accommodate my ever-growing social presence. And then, of course, we have the Get Loose with Leon podcast, which I am actually recording now and not just putting up the picks Thursday nights at 7 o'clock right here on all these same channels. And Scotty, before we get out of here, I want to mention tune in to Getting Loose with Leon. But I will say my long shot this week or my long shot tonight at Bristol, Ty Gibbs, I got him. I'm not sure what the odds are right now, but I got him earlier in the week at Bristol at plus 2,000 on BetMGM. Joe Gibbs' grandson. He's never won before. Consistent top 5, top 10 presence at Bristol. He's got a lot of top 10s this year. If you're looking for a guy to sprinkle a little bit of money on, keep something fun this week. And Bristol's always a track where if things shake down the right way, if an accident happens late, he could steal one. That's come down right now. That looks like plus 1,500 in most places. I believe plus 1,500 on DraftKings is your best odds. I got him at plus 10, plus 2,000 earlier in the week on BetMGM. So just a little NASCAR I want to circle out there. But if you want to get my full thoughts, including I went a little chalky this week for the winner, but I got a top 5, I got a top 10, and I just gave you my long shot as well with some thoughts from Bristol. Make sure to tune in to the Get Loose with Leon podcast. You can find that on YouTube and Rumble as well. Any final thoughts for you, sir?
Yeah, they need to do a skit with Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace, like put them in a room and you have somebody with both of their names, because Bubba Wallace definitely probably looks more like a Ty Gibbs, and Ty Gibbs probably looks more like a Bubba Wallace.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I was like, this makes
you said Ty Gibbs. I was like, is there another black driver in NASCAR? And you said Gibbs' grandson. I was like, man. But yeah, looking forward to today and this weekend in general. I will have the multi-view going on one TV and then something on my other TV and then probably something else on my laptop. So yeah. Should be a fun day of sitting on the couch, drinking some beer, watching some football, UFC, boxing, all that.
Should be great. And I am making some polo tacos tonight for the Canelo and Crawford fights. I will be celebrating my quasi-Mexican independence. I'm sure there's some Mexican in me somewhere along the way. If not, I'll just drink some tequila and make some tacos. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal, by the way, before we get out of here, I don't know if you have College Game Day turned on right now, but Pat McAfee has a red, white, and blue suit jacket on. The right arm is red. His shirt underneath, which is exposed, the t-shirt, the suit jacket's unbuttoned, is white. The vest on the jacket is blue. His left arm is white. I don't know. I'm not sure if he, bought that at the Kurt Angle clearance store or what, but
where are they?
They are in Knox Vegas as Tennessee prepares to host Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what he's got.
Yeah, so and there's also a sign that says Kirby Fart back there. So the Tennessee fans are in full throat. So, all right,
Nice.
Let's get out of here. I got a social engagement to go to. You got bets to put in. I got bets to put in. These people need to watch this podcast to get their bets to put in. Thank you for tuning in. Scotty, thank you for accommodating my social schedule this morning. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice, and we'll see you Wednesday night right back here for the Let's Not Do This podcast.